I'm Oral Hershiser, and I am on the Blue Review. Hey, this is Sean Green. You're watching the Blue Review.
Got an awkward Bindi on a Monday morning, but a Bindi nonetheless, because the USA is winners. I don't know if that logic works. Anyway, welcome to the Blue Review presented by LAX. I'm Marcas Grant with Greg Bergman and Jeff Spiegel on a Monday. Fellas, good weekend, fun weekend, I hope. Jeff, how are we feeling on Monday?
I feel great. Last night's game was electric. We got to see Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado fail on a major stage again, and so I think the U.S. won. I'm not even sure if that really happened, but Tatis definitely screwed up, so we've got that going for it.
Yeah, I know, Greg. You were quite vocal in the chat about your glee at seeing Machado and Tatis not be able to get it done in a big spot for the Dominican Republic.
It just warms my heart every time a Padre does something that is not positive for their team. So that makes me, by the way, this new headset, it's very odd for me to have in here. It's like I feel like I'm inside of the dome, just wrapped around my head. I hope it sounds better because I'll get used to it otherwise. But yeah, I love seeing how them failing over and over again. I'm sad that we did not see Tatis fail one more time because that was not a strike in any sense of the word, in any way possible. However, look, USA moves on. That's all that matters. Goodbye, DR. Basically, the Padre DR team. And Juan Soto, is there anybody on that team? Like those three dudes, I just don't like any of them.
Oh, I'm okay with Juan Soto. I have no real beef with Juan Soto. I got a real beef with Soto, but yeah, the United States beats the Dominican Republic 2-1 on the strength of the young guys getting it done. It was Paul Skeens who started the ball game and gave them 4 2/3, I think it was, strong innings, home runs from Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony. The difference in the ball game, the bullpen hangs on despite Mason Miller making it maybe a little interesting in that one. But so now they await the winner of Venezuela and Italy. I mean, Jeff, it would be full circle if they have to beat Italy to win the championship, right? After the whole Mark DeRosa not understanding the rules kerfuffle and then losing to Italy, it almost feels like they have to play Italy in the final now.
Totally. It would be redemption for sure. And it does feel like the game we just watched was the championship, and yet we lost to Italy the first time we played them. So maybe we shouldn't just assume that this is over. But yeah. Also, by the way, we have to give a shout out. Noted pitch framer Will Smith. One of the things he often gets criticized for. Framed up some nice strikes there at the end of the game to bail out the one Padre who sort of did his job, Mason Miller.
Was that him? Was that Will Smith, or was that just an awful ump? Yes. And really, that ABS, I can't wait. After watching that display of umpiring last night, I can't wait for ABS.
No, it's Will Smith. It was Will Smith that did that.
Thank you, Marcus.
It was Will Smith that made that happen.
Greg hates Will Smith, apparently. The season hasn't begun already.
We found a new
He is not my villain. You're not putting that juju on me. He's not my villain.
We found a villain now. It's Will Smith. Anyway, the U.S. hangs on. They win 2-1, despite I don't know, all of the chatter around this team. We'll leave it at that. And they have made it through to the final. So we will see. We'll see tonight who they play. And then on Tuesday night is the championship game. So the U.S. with a chance to win its second World Baseball Classic. We'll talk more about that, I guess, kind of when we know more. Unless there's something else you guys want to add other than like Aaron Judge stinks. And
well, I do want to get into the Aaron Judge stinking from you, by the way. I'll point that way.
I mean,
go ahead. You do that first.
I mean, mostly just because I said this earlier in the tournament, right? Whenever it's a big spot, Aaron Judge falls apart. Like he hits this mammoth shot that. I mean, okay, maybe a little bit was a great catch by Julio Rodriguez, but also the thing just died on the warning track. You know, it gave Rodriguez a chance to make a play on it. So like, yeah, Aaron Judge is gonna, he'll hit a double in the first inning, but when you need him in a big spot, he's gonna pop up. He'll strike out. He'll ground into a double play. I mean, I think early in the tournament they talked about, which was, I can't remember what team it was that the U.S. played in pool play, and they're like, oh, this young kid did the unthinkable in a big spot. I'm like, he got Aaron Judge out in a championship type situation on a double play ground ball. Like, good for him, but I wouldn't call it unthinkable there.
Are you saying that Aaron Judge lacks the clutch gene?
Yes, if DNA could show such a thing as the clutch gene, then I would think Aaron Judge would go to like GNC and get clutch gene supplements or something. I don't know.
Seems like a big supplement guy, so I believe that.
Be careful there. Be careful there.
He's just a big guy. He's just massive. It wasn't.
I would think that protein powders are probably part of his regimen. I mean, you can't really be that large without something like that. That's all.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess my question, but honestly, every time I think we talked about this earlier again in the tournament where it was Aaron Judge. He feels like he should be better, even though he's the second best player in the world. I don't know. That sounds odd, but every time I watch him, like, you should be better. But he is amazing. But I like your take of that he stinks.
I might be somewhat exaggerating the whole thing, but yeah, man. All right. Anyway, enough of that.
So my question that I have: Does this? We talked about Mark DeRosa and how he was an idiot and he didn't know anything about the rules. Is there a little bit of redemption last night by playing Gunnar Henderson instead of Alex Bregman?
I mean, slightly. Like I've already said on our show, Tuesday should be his last game ever managing Team USA. They could win, and I would not want him back. What already happened has tainted the legacy, has ruined the reputation, all of it. It needs to go. The U.S. is stacked. Like, they won 2-1. They got some benefit of the doubt calls from the umpire. This game could have gone either way. So, to your point, starting Henderson over Bregman, Henderson hits the home run. He gets like that. That was a decision that obviously panned out for him. But the U.S. won this game because they have better players, in my opinion, not because their manager did something remarkably well. So, yeah, I hope they win, but Mark DeRosa, his fate has already been sealed as far as I'm concerned.
It's going to be really awkward when he goes back to MLB Central and they have to ask him questions about that, right? Like, does he just say no questions about the WBC? I don't know how that works when he goes back.
They'll just take them off. They'll just take them off once the video is recorded.
That's it.
All I know is that Twitter last night was everybody that works for MLB in any capacity. Oh, great job by Mark DeRosa. That he pulled all the right buttons all night. Mark DeRosa was amazing. That's all. Every single person over and over again is what a great job by Mark DeRosa.
Yeah, well, they are here and they have a chance to win, probably despite Mark DeRosa. So, anyway. Oh, by the way, people in the chat are saying, Sherry's saying your mic is better, even though it does. It sounds better. It looks like you're going to ask me to fill out a customer service survey
I was going to say
afterwards.
Yeah, Greg, if you need to take a sales call from Jerry in Des Moines at some point, just click the button on the side of your headphones and feel free to just start slinging some paper products, okay?
Hold, please.
Anyway, the Dodgers actually had a split squad game yesterday and won both of them. Beat the Rangers 5-3, beat the Cubs, I believe 14-8 was the final score in that one. I was texting you guys and sort of joking that the Dodgers get Kyle Tucker, the Cubs get Michael Conforto, and if it were a fantasy league, that everybody in the league would be vehemently trying to veto that trade because it doesn't feel quite right. But as somebody pointed out in the chat earlier, Jeff Tucker hit his first home run with the Dodgers. I mean, I know, again, it's spring. There's not a ton to take away, but it is encouraging to see him start to heat up at this point with the season less than 2 weeks away.
Totally. I mean, look, I always say spring training stats don't mean anything, ... unless they prove something that I want them to prove. And in the case of Kyle Tucker, I'm willing to say they mean something because he has an OPS over 1,000 so far. A couple home runs in the last few days, but I thought we had an interesting conversation with Fabian on our show last night because he was talking about the impact Tucker is going to have on the lineup, Greg. The guy who his profile is most similar to on the Dodgers is probably Max Muncy. This is somebody who takes a ton of pitches, who doesn't chase out of the zone, who is totally comfortable taking a walk. which is why his on-base percentage is almost 1,000, on top of the fact that he has a pair of home runs. So the slugging percentage is over 500 as well. So it just got me excited because we've talked about how critical Muncy is to this lineup. When he's gone, for whatever reason, the offense falls apart. Well, now they have another Max Muncy clone, essentially, in Kyle Tucker. Probably, no disrespect to Max Muncy, a better version of Max Muncy, a younger version of Max Muncy in the middle. And so, to me, that's what gets me excited, is his ability to work counts, take walks, on top of what we know, the power, batting average, slug that's going to come with it.
Yeah, so Max Muncy, I mean, that's the lower guy in the lineup, though. That's something that helps the bottom of your lineup when you have somebody down there that's taking pitches and lengthening the lineup. This is somebody at the top. So to have somebody like that at the top that's going to be getting on base consistently, that helps a tremendous amount. Now, the thing that I wonder about, and Marcus, I would love to hear what you think, he's making $60 million. Are we paying him $60 million to walk a bunch in the top there? Like Juan Soto, that's his big deal, is that he walks a bunch. He's making a lot of money, but $60 million a year, which is really about $110 million when it comes to the luxury tax a year. So what do you expect out of Tucker, and what do you need from him to be in that 2 spot?
Well, I mean, I think the more than anything, it's the plate discipline, right? The walks are the kind of the byproduct of that plate discipline. But I think being in that spot and understanding who he's going to be sandwiched between, right? Knowing that you've got Shohei on one side and Mookie Betts on another, and then Freddie Freeman behind that, and then on and on and on. The plate discipline is going to be important. So I don't necessarily think, I mean, look, I think the walk numbers will be elevated just because that's who he is as a player, but I think he's going to see pitches to hit. And I think you're going to see those power numbers be there. I think for me, the question is just about staying power, because last year he, along with a lot of the Cubs, were so great in the first half of the season. In the second half, they had a fall off. So, if he's going to be in that 2 spot, he's going to have to continue to drive in runs, to hit for a decent average, to hit home runs. So, because you're going to have opportunities to drive guys in, you're going to have opportunities to be driven in because of the guys who are behind you. So I don't think it's going to be necessarily the Max Muncy 3 true outcome life that he's been living for the last year plus. But I see the archetype, at least, Jeff. I see that's kind of what the goal is. And again, look, having 2 guys in the lineup, especially from the left side like that, not a terrible thing at all.
Yeah. And the Muncy comp, to your point, Marcus, isn't totally perfect, because Kyle Tucker's going to hit 40 to 50 points higher in batting average, which is a stat I know Greg loves, so he'll like that. And the power won't necessarily be there quite as much. He's more of a 25-ish home run guy instead of Muncy. You're hoping for a 35-ish home run. But I just think it's the force multiplier of a guy who's willing to take pitches, work counts, wear down pitchers, and kind of provide for everybody else in the lineup in that way. And so I think he's going to be a huge addition, both in obvious ways, but I think, like Muncy, he's going to be one of these guys where it's a little bit trickier at times to put your finger on exactly what he is doing for the rest of the lineup, because it's some of these small things, taking pitches, drawing walks, etc.
The other part of this, Greg, I'm curious your thoughts, is what does this do defensively for the ball club? I mean, I know just one guy, especially playing right field, can't necessarily overall change the trajectory defensively, but that is also part of the reason they brought him in, because if there was any liability, Andy Pages' circus catch in the World Series aside, outfield defense was sort of a weak spot for this team. Do you have a level of confidence it's going to be better this year?
Oh, much better. I think it makes a huge difference to me. I think right field to me is a very important position. That's usually where you guy with your strongest arm type of guys is over there, maybe center field too. But it stops if you have somebody there that is going to be has a strong arm, throwing guys out at third, like we saw Aaron Judge do in the World Baseball Classic on Fernando Tatis, which again makes me feel happy when Fernando Tatis does something wrong. It makes a big difference. It stops guys from going from second to third, or trying from second to home. It makes a big difference in there, was holding guys back from taking those extra bases. So if he's going to be out there making great catches, having a strong arm out there, throwing dudes out, I think that it changes everything. Teo was taking these routes yet last year that was just incomprehensible where he was trying to go. And so now you have somebody that's competent out there. Your 2/3 of your outfield are good defenders now with Andy Pages in center and Tucker in right. I think it makes a big difference. And we talked about it a bunch last year, even moving him to left essentially fixes your outfield defense. I know he's still bad in left, but you can kind of hide it a little bit over there a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the hope, right? I mean, obviously you got Pages, which, Jeff, by the way, are you surprised that Andy Pages has turned into the center fielder that he has? I never really had that on my bingo card for him.
Yeah, he was really bad at the beginning of the season last year, and I think it's a testament to him and the work that he's put in, his athleticism. It's a testament to Dodgers coaching as well, because, yeah, he has turned into a guy that, I mean, he's the least of their worries, which isn't saying a ton because, you know, Tucker and Teoscar Hernandez aren't winning any gold gloves, although Tucker is going to be better than Conforto was. But, yeah, I'm with you. The fact that I'm just penciling Pages into center field and feel good about it defensively speaks, you know, kudos to all credit to Andy Pages for that.
Yeah, just again from where he was to where he's gone, a pretty amazing journey. So yeah, for sure. River Ryan looks like he's going to start the year in Oklahoma City. Greg, is that a surprise to you?
No, it's not a surprise. I think they're going to hold off on him for a little bit, but I do think you're going to see River Ryan up in the big league, no matter, like, at some point in time. He's going to be a starter for this team at some point, especially when guys take a little bit of time off. But to see he is looking almost like the guy that he was before. I mean, it still has to. He gave up a couple of hits and gave up a run in the early on in his outing yesterday, but he's going to be a legit starter on this team that is going to be an impactful one. He's probably on a little bit of a pitch count, I think. Jeff, you would know that a little bit better, but I assume he's going to be on a pitch count. So starting in AAA just kind of makes sense and like that. When are you going to use those pitches? Probably more towards the end of the year and hopefully so he has a role in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've got enough starters now, which is a weird thing to say, but between Sheehan, Ryan, Robleski, Roki, Sasaki, those four guys are kind of competing for really two spots at the beginning of the season because of they don't really need a sixth starter for a little while. So I think what makes the most sense if you're playing the long game is to save your bullets with River Ryan for the end. He is built up. I mean, he threw 53 pitches in 4 innings yesterday, so it's not like they're slow playing him entirely, but send him to Oklahoma City, you know, have him go make 3 innings at a time starts to save those bullets and go from there. Because clearly they're committed to Roki Sasaki being in the rotation. And Fabian said this on our show last night, not to change gears entirely, but I wanted to get your thoughts. He said something about Roki that I hadn't heard before, which was related to this conversation of how good communication was between Roki Sasaki and the Dodgers last year. He acknowledged that it didn't seem like it was perfect. And so, Marcus, his theory at least was part of the reason the Dodgers want to keep him at LA is because that's where they can have the best level of communication with him. If they send him to Oklahoma City, then it's harder to communicate. It's harder to adjust. It's harder to tweak. And so it's almost like we're willing to live with this being ugly at Los Angeles for the first 2 weeks, month, 2 months, whatever it may take, because it means he's here and our hands are on him and we can talk face to face and we can navigate this stuff. And so I just thought that was like a really interesting that maybe the communication and the failure to communicate is actually at the bottom of some of the decisions the Dodgers are making.
That is an interesting, thought there. So, I guess I get it, right? You do have him close by, and you can have Mark Pryor, you can have all the other coaches sort of work with him. And even if you need, just to bring a roving instructor, like it's easy to get them to Los Angeles. So, I never really considered that, but interesting to kind of figure this out with Roki. These are the things you can do when you have the luxury of the starting pitching depth that they have right now. So,
and the projected cushion in the division where you're like, hey, it does not matter if this guy comes up and has a 4.5 to 5.5 ERA for the first month of the season. That's fine. We don't care because we'll be fine.
I think that's interesting.
Everybody hates the Dodgers.
Very much so. But I do find it interesting because what happened last year was he was sent down. And they worked with him down there, fixed everything. He came up obviously into a different role to be a reliever, but still he came up went down to AAA to fix everything, and that's where all the mechanical switches changed for the most part, bringing up the knee higher, doing some of the things that he was doing differently, and to work on his pitch location. It's interesting that they don't trust AAA when that's what worked so well last year. And I don't think it's not a trust thing per se, but the fact is that that's where it worked for him. So, I mean, I get why they would want him with the club, especially if they can just make minor tweaks that way. But if he's at a 4.5, 5 ERA, I wouldn't be shocked if they send him down to AAA to do a similar type of switch.
Yeah, that's my, I guess, question is how long do they wait on it, right? If it's one thing to be 4.5, 5 for April, May, if we're still looking at this in early to mid-June, are they still patient with him? That, I don't know if that's an answerable question now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it just comes down to it's this vague term that most of us don't understand, or we don't have the ability to watch him and know if anything is happening, but it's his mechanics. And can he dial those in a way that allows the velocity to be where it needs to be, but more importantly, allows the command and control to be where it needs to be? That's the $1 billion question. And he'll make another spring training start this week, and we'll have another, week and a half worth of content on Dodgers media to talk about it. But we'll see. I mean, the Dodgers are committed to it, so we're going to get to figure this out in real time.
The other part, now that Japan surprisingly is no longer in the World Baseball Classic after losing a thriller to Venezuela, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, they are back. Jeff, do you expect they're going to start building up Ohtani more? Are we going to start seeing him in games now that he's got, maybe a couple extra days than anticipated back with the club?
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I for one, I was surprised we got the report last week that he threw 4 innings of simulated game with Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic, which is best case scenario, that the buildup is happening to a degree where he threw, I believe it was 50-ish pitches, got to 4 innings. So I was like, great. He's going to be way more built up than I thought he would have been coming out of that. And yeah, I mean, I think there's a real chance Ohtani makes a start in the Cactus League at some point, which I don't think that anybody was really expecting that. If Japan had gone all the way to the finals, that would be like 9 days before the season starts. And then you've got to travel back, all that kind of stuff. But the fact that he's coming back 11 or 12 days, I think there's a real chance that we could see him make a Cactus League start. Yamamoto could make a Cactus League start, which I think would be fun to watch. All those guys came back in one piece. Let's just say that as a starting point. Edwin Diaz came back in one piece. Haesung Kim, his hand appears to be fine. He played yesterday, so let's just start in a place of all these guys are healthy. But yeah, I think we see them, which is
cool.
I was actually kind of afraid when Julio Rodriguez got hit in the wrist. Like that was terrifying for the guy. So I'm sorry, I don't know. Does it sound that much better than the other one? Because this is driving me out.
It looks better, Greg. I mean, forget what it sounds like. It looks better.
It looks ridiculous. And I thank you for figuring this out, Carlo. I really, really, really love it. But I sound awful in my ears. I feel off. I don't know if I can do this tomorrow.
Better, Greg. You sound great and you look better.
You know who I think will give you a true, unbiased, just compliment, or it would be Scott Kaplan. I'm sure he's got plenty to say, and I'm sure he's going to be super constructive in any sort of criticism that he has if he sees you wearing that headset.
Yeah, he's watching right now. I know.
I can't wait. If for everyone else who can't wait, stick around because the Sedano Cap Morning Extravaganza coming up in just a few minutes. Jeff, always great to see you on a Monday. Anything you guys got going on over there?
Yeah, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Sunday. Fabian Ardai's first show with us was last night. It was great. Tons of insight on Kyle Tucker, Teoscar Hernandez, the second base battle. So you could check that out on Dodger Blue 1958, and I'll be back on Tuesday night.
Beautiful. So be sure to check that out as well. Shout out to Carlo for getting us up and on this morning. Appreciate everybody in the chat as always. By the way, I should mention the Blue Review powered by LAX because you can learn more about all the incredible changes happening now by going to lawa.org/ESPN. So that'll do it for this edition of the Blue Review presented by LAX. For Jeff, for Greg, I'm Marcus. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the ESPN LA YouTube channel, 6:30 to 6:55. See you then, everybody.
See ya. I got to take another call.